Well, we're going to exhale for a second here because it's been a difficult week here in the DMV, if we're being honest,
Yeah,
right?
it
As
has
we
been.
navigate the impact of a federal takeover of D.C. police by the president. We've heard from so many of you who say the details and the updates of everything going on and the images and the optics, it all just feels so overwhelming.
Yeah, so how do you stay informed while protecting your mental health? Joining us live is DC-based psychiatrist Dr. Lise Van Susteren. Dr. Van Susteren, thank you for being here with us.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so it's the end of the work week. It's Friday. People might feel a little wired and worn out right now. So what are some of the first signs that this news cycle is really taking a toll on your mental health?
Well, I'm amused that you would say a little wired and worn out. If we pop the hood, everybody's pretty strung out. And the situation is extremely stressful. We know what stress feels like. We're irritable. We're sometimes depressed, anxious, have trouble sleeping, and we're on edge. And I think that it would be a lie if we didn't say that a lot of people feel this way right now, but it's just plain stress reaction.
Sounds like we need to acknowledge that feeling, acknowledge that it's real, acknowledge that it's present. And so what does a healthy information diet look like on a week like this in terms of how frequent are you getting your information? What's the timing of it? Where are you getting it from?
Well, I'm going to answer that question in a second, but I'd like to say, first of all, there are some general ABCs here. And the first A is all about awareness, awareness of yourself and your own emotions, the awareness of other people's emotions as we're going through this. B is really the behaviors, your behaviors, the behaviors of others, the behaviors of the people around you and elected officials. And C is really taking control. And that's where what you say right now has such importance, because what we do is what offsets our anxiety. So taking control takes us from a feeling of helplessness, control over what we can. So what's the right amount? What do we do? It depends on the individual, it depends on the situation, and it varies not only between us and among us, but it varies from moment to moment. So our point is, or my point is, to be very aware this is a stressful time and to recognize others are stressed and there's no one way to be.
And Dr. Van Susteren, based on your work, what boundaries actually work? How do you take control?
Well, that's obviously a very individualistic sort of answer, but there is the on-off button. And the off button sometimes would take me out of sequence is off first and then on to something else. So having that self-control where you say, you know what, this behavior, this constant checking to see where we are, which I know I'm sometimes guilty of, it's a teeter-totter, though. You don't want to be the kind of person that's got his or her head in the sand. After all, we're a democracy, and citizens make the democracy. And as our Congressman Jamie Raskin says, his dad always used to say, in a democracy, the most important job is that of citizen. So we need to be aware also of what's happening, recognizing that there are limits. And if you got to go paddle, find a canoe and paddle somewhere, that's great. If you got to go downtown and protest something and doing it in line with the law, those are options that are all on the table.
So when these headlines are feeling close to home, right, because we know there's some communities where they're seeing the sirens, they're seeing these National Guard officers, uniforms, visible operations happening in front of them even potentially. How do families talk about this, what's happening, without passing along fear to their kids or their teens?
Okay, so this is a really important moment for parents and for their children. And I like to say it, the 3 L's: listen, learn, leverage. So the listening part, parents asking their kids what they've heard, asking their kids what they feel, what they believe, etc. And then secondly, learning about some of the issues that may be arising. Maybe you don't know a lot about it. Maybe you can learn together with your child. And then the third L is all about leverage. All right, what are you going to do about it? And frankly, acknowledging your own emotions, that you might sometimes feel fearful, not all the time, but sometimes, or angry or anxious, tells your kids that it's okay for them to have a range of feelings. But here's the critical piece. We're not stopping here, because once again, the idea is that our collective action, working together, assuring that we have a safe place for ourselves now and for the future, requires that we all pitch in. And whatever way that is, if it's that I've got to take a break today and I'll get into some action tomorrow, or something in between, that's all on the table.
Oh, we already feel a little better. Huh?
We do. We do. We do.
A lot of good information after a tough week, and as a lot of folks head into the weekend. Dr. Lise Van Susteren, thank you so much for being here with us tonight.
Thanks for having me.
We're going to keep your phone number
Yeah,
nearby just in case, you know?
See you
Just
next
in
Friday,
case.
okay?
See you next
Each week,
Friday.
we can make this
Right.
a thing.
Thank